I mean, I'm sure there's several examples. I just fucking...
Yeah, Cena's one of those guys that can carry others to good matches, but...
And it's not like Roman has... I mean, if there's anybody who's a less complicated moveset than John Cena, it's Roman Reigns.
Yeah, but listen, I don't think it's the storytelling in that one. And I know with Heyman that they'll tell a good story in the ring as long as other people don't interfere with it. I think... but I also feel like we already got most of the payoff from this feud with the promos. I think the promos were great. Now since we're talking, before we get into the real Nerdcast stuff, or Nerdstuff stuff, wrestling we're kind of throwing into this category anyways.
Oh, it's nerd stuff. It works.
Everyone's like excited about Cena coming back and whatever, and Cena's the only one they let off the leash. And he does it for his month where he's doing these fire promos and kind of skirting the edges of whatever, of the rules that the company has and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, it gets you a small bump, gets you interested in turning into SummerSlam, but he's leaving. And then everyone goes back to doing the crappy, scripted, predictable stuff that has been sinking their ratings and making the fans apathetic and whatever else. While in Chicago last night, there was a seismic event that I felt down here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
I will say,
like fucking seismic event.
Like we know.
I am not a CM Punk guy.
Yeah.
By any stretch of the imagination. Never was like a big fan of his.
I'm right there with you. I
can recognize that he's good. And hell of a mic guy, but he was never one of my favorites. But I can admit, after last night, that fucking guy's important to the business. I mean, we had the discussion on the thing where like, who else in the history of wrestling?
There's only one.
Who else in the history of wrestling has had, when they've been gone for 7 years, over the course of 7 years, fans of the promotion still chanting their name?
Yeah.
It's never fucking happened. No. And we said the only thing similar is Austin's what? But that's not chanting Austin.
Yeah, that's not.
That's not demanding we want Austin. That's just taking that gimmick and applying it in a different... It's totally different.
Of all the people in the wrestling business...
I couldn't believe...
As we stand here today...
What I saw.
Of all the people in the wrestling business as we stand here today, there's only one other person that would have gotten a reaction that Punk got, and that would be Austin. That's it. There's no one else. Rock, even at this point, Rock has been
returning for one night. You get the pop.
That's it.
But let's say that pop. I mean, we've seen it when Edge returned for the first time, when the Hardys returned at WrestleMania. I mean, now granted, it's harder to look. Those are bigger venues too, with a lot more people.
And they came out of nowhere.
Right.
They were heavily winking Punk, which I understand. They've got television. They need the ratings.
It was also their biggest event venue they'd ever done. He wanted to sell it out.
So it made sense. Personally, did I like it? I didn't like it, but I like the Edge surprise. I like the Hardy Boys. That shit is awesome.
Couldn't do it.
But having watched it and seen and then realizing, SmackDown's on the other channel. SummerSlam's tomorrow. They've got their biggest venue. I'm like, okay, I understand all the machinations I understand, but just me personally, I'd just been I'd be like, but then he ends the promo with Darby going, hey, September 5th, I'm coming back, and it's me and you. And you're like, oh, you've just sold all the pay-per-views. Mm-hmm. There's also people are going to... And Darby's the perfect comeback opponent for
They
Punk.
Fucking crashed Pro Wrestling Tees website last night.
That's crazy.
They crashed. They had to change... Like, Pro Wrestling Tees put out an announcement saying they had to change, like, hosts for better servers and stuff like that.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. One guy. This is all one guy. I've never seen a grown man cry like I saw on TV that night for someone returning. I've seen like people get emotional when there's retirements and like sad things like my neck's broken. I can't wrestle.
Yeah.
For someone to just be the returning conquering hero in Chicago, like he was at last night. I saw a grown man cry, and I didn't even feel like he needed to be made fun of. I was like, I understand.
There's only one comparison I can think of, and that was the Hall of Fame when Rock put his grandfather in, because I was there, and they chanted that motherfucker's name for almost 20 straight minutes.
Yeah,
but it was insane.
But he'd been involved with the product
at that time. He wasn't. He walked away because that was like 2004.
Yeah, but for how long? 6 months, a year?
No, he was gone. He'd been gone like 2-3 years because that was his first Hollywood run. Because he wasn't.
Trust me,
it's before.
Along that run, he had popped in to do a show.
He hadn't.
Not to wrestle, to appear or to make he'd been in Miami.
It was
something.
It was the first time that he had appeared on WWE anything since he had left. And it had been like it only been like 2 years, but at that time, 2 years was fucking. You may as well have
it ain't 7.5.
It's not. But we're in a different part of the business where guys they disappear for times and they come back, and Punk is a much different case.
But that was.
Punk
you always knew Rock wasn't like, I'm gone, fuck wrestling.
Well, at the time you didn't know. You didn't know.
You knew that he didn't say fuck wrestling, because remember, I'm out. There's a difference. Punk said, I'm out. I'm not wrestling ever again. Rock never publicly said that. So you could say you don't know, but you knew with Punk.
But I'm not defending it. I'm just saying, I remember because...
You're not defending. I'm just...
because I remember
no comparison
The Rock left, and then he lost all that weight because he was doing all those Disney movies, and he just wasn't big at all. And you were like, oh, he's done because he lost all that weight. He trimmed down to 220. I remember him doing an interview at the time.
Tooth Fairy shit.
Yeah, I remember the interview at the time. He's like, this is the lightest I've ever been. And he goes, I love it. I feel healthier. I feel better.
Yeah.
At that time, he's saying all those things.
Now he's twice the size.
He's in Hollywood. Yeah, well, now, exactly. He's a fucking, him and the Mountain are competing. So he could be the biggest dude imaginable. So this is before all that, man. So I just remember that one moment where inside, it was the Amway Center in Orlando, I think is where they had the Hall of Fame. And I just remember going, 15 minutes in, I'm like, they got to get tired at some point. And he's just standing on the podium. It was 20 straight minutes. No, it's different in many ways, obviously. But I'm just saying that's the only comparable thing I could think of, except maybe a Goldberg when he first came back. Or I can't even think the last Austin thing because...
The only Goldberg thing I think of in terms of comparing any of this stuff to any of this stuff is the when I was at the Georgia Dome.
Oh, the title win.
For the title win over Hogan. That was a 3-hour show.
You told that story a lot.
That was a 3-hour show. From the hour before, you can get there a little early. Mm-hmm. From the hour before till people leaving the building after the show's over. It was a nonstop Goldberg chant. You're talking over 4 hours. They stopped to cheer for him, and stopped when other people were doing promos.
Didn't he win 2 matches that night?
Yeah, he had to fight
Scott Hall,
and then
Hogan.
Yeah, I think it was Scott Hall. And Hogan.
Yeah, and you know what? Because anything comparable to that have been the Fandango incidents, but those have all been post Manias, where it's always crazy.
Yeah, but that was they just did it,
and it's 24 hours and it goes away. Mostly because WWE never knows how to jump on something when it's hot. They have no idea how to do that. Never have.
So anyway, I mean, you couldn't even hear after the first note or two the music from Cult of Personality.
No. So the first video I watched, he was already in the ring.
Yeah.
So I'm and we're watching. I just wanted to hear the promo, but at the time,
well, because the way they cut it probably was in 2 chunks. Because they went to commercial.
Oh, okay.
For 90 seconds, and then he started talking.
Oh, that's
so
okay,
there's there's a 4-minute entrance where they play the music. He comes out. He kind of takes a moment where he gets on his knees at the rampway. You probably saw this.
I saw that part. Yeah.
And they're just chanting. He does the crowd dive. He goes hug some people.
I didn't see any of that.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw.
You kind of need to watch the whole stretch. It's pretty as a whole thing. It's really impactful. You feel it. I can't imagine in the building. I have been in those moments in buildings but like I can't imagine what that felt like in the building because I was feeling it when it was live. The whole thing, the goosebumps, the whatever. Not for Punk, for the reaction.
Yeah.
I was like, this is something.
And
you're witnessing something.
You can't even
special.
think from his perspective. He knows he's coming back. They know he's coming back.
You see that on his face,
and he's like, "But you never know how anyone's going to react to stuff, man."
No, he was like, you could see in his face. He's really good at collecting himself, but you could see all the emotion of like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like,
it was a really, really, really honest to God good moment in the professional wrestling business. I feel we'll get one of those when Bryan Danielson comes in.
If Punk is genuine and it is about the things he said it's about, and now he's here in a place where people care about him and respect him and are going to let him do his thing and not also abuse him like WWE did with the health stuff. And he's on board to like help everyone else and raise everyone else up. This is tremendous.
So,
like,
do you remember his ROH exit?
No.
Okay, I do. Because at the time that he was on top of ROH, I was heavily watching ROH. Like him and Samoa Joe had some of the best matches that no one ever got to see.
I never got in Ring of Honor because of the stink of fuckface Rob Feinstein that was originally involved with it.
But that time of Ring of Honor is arguably its best.
Yeah.
And I remember there's a very specific promo.
The people that spilled out of there.
Yeah.
Where did that overlap with the MLW shows? Probably right around similar time, right?
MLW was around 2004. Our ROH
and that's 2005, he said.
2006, 2007.
No. He said 2005.
Was it 5? Yeah.
Was when he left.
It's somewhere around that. But I just remember because he had a very famous promo with Mick Foley. I don't know if it was the same night or close to that. And like that's when everyone knew like, oh, he's going.
Yeah.
Because you stood toe to toe with at then a Mick Foley who could still go on the microphone and not be a parody act or anything like that, a nostalgia act. And they had I highly recommend everybody hunt down that promo. It's one of the best. And that's when you knew Punk was destined for bigger things. But I remember when he left ROH, it was like a moment. And you didn't know. Only thing you knew at that time, if you were an insider, was Heyman really liked him. And Heyman at that time would tell anybody would listen if ECW was still around, CM Punk would be the champion. So you knew that, and you knew Heyman was it.
Which is what happened.
Yes. You did know all the behind-the-scenes stuff, because at the time, we didn't have that kind of access that we have now.
Right.
But you just knew.
Well, I mean...
But you didn't know he was going to keep his name. You didn't know what they were going to do with him. Because he's a guy who's very specific.
Back then, it was more likely you kept your name.
Well, remember, because... Danielson had already gone, and he was Daniel Bryan, and they put him with the Miz, and everybody was
that?
Yes, that was around the same time as and everybody's like, well, you're fucking with the American Dragon. What are you gonna do to fucking CM Punk?
But I feel like CM Punk was.
We knew he couldn't do the Pepsi plunge because that's a top rope pedigree, and there's no way that was gonna fly. So you just didn't know what was gonna happen to him, how much of him was gonna show up on WWE television. And obviously we were able to get CM Punk, mostly because Heyman told everybody to get the fuck off him and just let him be.
Well, that's the thing. They let him... That's the trick, is like... he's almost a lost cause. You let Paul Heyman do his thing with him on a brand that that the brass isn't really paying attention to, so that it gets solidified so that you can't fuck with it.
But I remember when
is what you thought NXT was, but they fuck with it all the time.
Yeah.
They hone it, they sharpen it, they craft it, and then you would think it's just passed and continue to the main roster. But no, they go, no, now you're Dewdrop, and you're fucking, and you can't do this, you can't do that, and we're going to take away everything that made you what you were, that earned you the main roster spot.
It doesn't surprise me. Because Vince McMahon is notorious. If I didn't make you, fuck what you came here with.
Which is weird, because NXT is him.
Yep. No, it's Tunner. And it's very obvious now.
But But it's
You would-
WWE.
within the WWE system, you
It's
would
ridiculous.
think. You would think.
It's insane.
Common sense and everything tells you that if you are standing in an NXT ring with your name being chanted for 10 straight minutes, you are a shoo-in to get in that main roster and make some noise. And instead, it never happens. It just never happens.
Yeah.
Everyone gets ruined. Everyone.
Instead, they debut you without your entrance, without your valet,
And you lose.
and you still have the belt, so it ruins you for the other product too.
They're totally doing it on purpose. Totally doing it on purpose.
I don't know what they're
But
doing.
that's a different conversation. But I remember...
But I know what I read on that with the Killer Cross thing.
Yeah.
It's like we want to see how he reacts to all that.
Fuck all that. You have a guy who's super fucking over...
Which is such insane mind games.
No. Oh, okay. What if you would have done that to Ultimate Warrior?
They did, and he always it was always a problem.
What if you
Just don't do it.
There's some people that this is who they are.
Yeah.
This is how you make money with them. They're not a journeyman who can do anything. Goldberg isn't a journeyman who can do everything. Goldberg can do one thing so well that he will put every ass in every seat.
I want to watch that pay-per-view just to see his kid take a fucking spear.
Is that what they're setting up?
I don't know what they're setting up because they've kind of involved the kid.
I don't even know what his kid looks like at this point.
Grew the fuck up.
Oh, really?
Like, looks like he's been playing football in high school.
He can only be like what?
Grew the fuck up.
He's high school, so he's 15, 16?
Maybe he's older. Maybe he was small for his age when he started high school. But no, he grew like...
Oh, wow.
He grew like a foot.
Holy
put on
shit.
some fucking weight. Even in one of the things where he walked back with his dad up the ramp, he did the fucking double bicep fucking thing. I'm like, boy, you're going to start flexing on TV. Be ready for that spear.
It's a coming. It's a coming.
I mean, who knows? This kid may want to fucking wrestle.
I'm sure.
I'm sure
he'll get the chance if he wants to. He'll get the chance.
I don't know. He was there with his team. He may want to try college and football first if he's any good. But
I will say though, having experienced firsthand and being in that mindset at that time when Punk left, it was like one of those things where it was just like ROH losing Punk was a really, really, really big deal, and he never recovered from it. And then other various things happened behind the scenes, and ROH has now just been middling for the last 20 fucking years.
Yeah, I record it every week and then don't watch it every week.
But I remember that. So when he calls back to it in the promo, I'm like, it instantly takes me back, and I'm like, I might not be a CM Punk guy, but fuck, man, I remember that moment. And okay, cool. And this he took so many shots at them that I was just like, wow, like you saved it. It's almost as if he goes, I know at some point I'm getting back in that ring. I don't know when, I don't know how, and I don't know with who, but it's gonna happen. And when it does, this is what I'm going to say. These are the points I'm going. Yeah,
you know that
because he's had podcasts, he's had UFC fight, he's had a lot of stuff out there. He was on WWE broadcast. He's been on ESPN. He's been all over the place.
Fox broadcast.
He's been everywhere where he's had all this time to get stuff off his chest. Should he want to? And he waited.
No, he's been practicing this promo in some form or another. It's been evolving.
Yep.
And changing, but it just trust me that. And it came off like it because it was flawless.
Oh, absolutely.
I watched. It's funny because I know you don't watch the show, but it followed that whole segment, that whole like 15-minute thing. They follow it with a Christian Cage promo, and again, you're talking a guy like you got to think about it. AEW, without the scripting, they have some fucking masters at promo.
Yeah.
And even some of their homegrowns. Britt Baker will chew your ass up in a promo. You got, I mean, Taz used to be able to cut a decent promo. Now he's a little, but I mean, there are some, you got MJF. That kid is flawless. He cuts Jericho. I mean, there's some fucking guys there. And you could see it in the product reflects it brilliantly.
You mean you take a professional wrestler, you hand him a microphone and go, these are your talking points, go out there and sell me some
Obviously
tickets?
not everyone's capable of that.
No, but majority of their locker room is.
But all of those
the upper tier guys are.
All of those guys will chew the fuck out of 99% of the WWE
And
guys.
I personally just on a personal standpoint, I believe Christian's a far better worker than Punk. I think Christian is one of the most underrated workers.
And Brian's
of our
a
time.
fucking monster on a promo too.
But I really believe that Christian Cage is one of the most underrated guys.
I've always thought
ever.
that. He's one of my favorites.
However, he is above average on the microphone. So following Punk, that had to have been hard.
He's better than I think he's better than you give him credit for. But he was like he just.
Do you know when he's better?
You know when
he's better? When he has Edge right next to him. Those two work off each other in a way that
whatever. But he fine. And Edge is better with Christian with him. But I'm just saying he stuck the landing following CM Punk.
Yeah,
which is hard to fucking do. In that moment with the fucking rafters shaking and whatever else, and it shows in the WWE product where the only guy doing it is Cena.
Because.
Well, and I guess Edge. But
let's be honest. You don't tell those guys what to do anymore.
Cena comes in, you really can't.
No.
But I think that's all. If you want to say that, I feel like that whole thing is segmented from reality, the WWE reality, because it's Heyman, it's Punk, and it's Reigns, and they're sitting there and they're collaborating on what they're going to do, and then they go do it. There's no line for line fucking.
Can you clear something up for me?
What?
What's going on with Orton?
He's tagging with fucking Riddle.
Oh, is he on?
He's tagging with Riddle.
Oh, okay. Because you guys had posted something in the thread a while ago about
he was gone for like a month.
That he was fired, but then he wasn't.
No, I never said that.
Oh, someone posted that. I don't know.
Someone reading a dirt sheet.
Oh, okay.
Got trolled and fucking reposted that he got fired. And someone found out, or his dad called Vince.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Trust me. I don't think his dad has Vince's fucking
no
personal number at this point.
I remember when I was working out and training with Sullivan all those years ago. I mean, he had Hunter's number.
Yeah.
On speed dial, but he didn't have Vince's.
Yeah.
I think Vince is a very exclusive club that gets Vince's number.
I don't know. I would assume,
at this point.
I would assume more people have it than you think.
Oh,
but are just deathly afraid to ever fucking touch it.
Yeah.
I assume the whole main roster has his fucking number.
Oh, I think it would depend. I think it really depends on who you are. I think it depends on who you are. Because if
main roster, I'm saying.
In main roster, I think it depends on who you are, because the main roster isn't what it was 15 years ago.
It kind of is.
The main roster is kind of like you're talking to agents, and Vince is making all those head decisions. And you might be right. You might very well be right, because Vince is definitely 100% hands-on at all times, whether you like it or not. I think at this point of his life and career, I think it's so detrimental to the WWE that, it's why I don't watch anymore.
Every time we say that, he does something clever. But
listen, there's a good opportunity tonight. There's a really good opportunity tonight. Okay, cool. AEW gave you CM Punk in a sold-out Chicago. We have a card that even... listen, I'm really interested in the Edge Rollins match.
I heard Shaq turn them down flat. Like a month or two ago, they wanted to offer him something on SummerSlam.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think he worked with AEW, and he's like, well, I think if I want to wrestle again, I'm just going to go there.
We definitely know who the more fun company is, where your ideas can be expressed.
I think the only difference right now, there's always going, at least for a little while, there's that prestige of the WWE, just the name, But if you want to talk in terms of everything else, you're probably working less dates for the same or more money in AEW. Obviously you are way freer to earn and pursue other options, or not options, but opportunities.
Revenue, venues, all that shit.
All that stuff. Yeah. Go trying acting, trying to diversify your life for after wrestling.
Twitch streaming, all that shit.
All that shit. Yeah. They're just like, go ahead, do it. I assume merchandise sales are probably... You might get a better cut with AEW and just sell less.
I don't know about... Yeah, that's going to be...
Only because I'm saying all things equal. You've got your online sales are one thing. Maybe let's say those are the same. But every venue, you've got less people in the AEW smaller venues. So you're selling less stuff.
Not for much longer, it doesn't look like.
Maybe. They would be very smart to cautiously
but to
go
like,
to bigger.
Harken back to what you said, I think Punk is going to basically run his show. I think with his relationship with Tony Khan is like, listen, I'm going to come in and we'll talk, we'll pull it up, but at the end of the day, it's my say.
But I don't think
he's earned that.
I don't think they're not on the same page.
Oh, they're 100% on the same page.
So TK's, so Khan's gonna be like, this is what we want to do. He's gonna be like, okay, I like that. Obviously, with promos, they never. They're literally saying, all right.
There's probably a joke. Hey, any notes? No notes. All right.
No, it is. It's 100% that. Yeah. There've been accounts of that where they're like Miro showed up and he's like, "What do you want me to say?" I was like, "Whatever you want. It's your fucking promo.
Yeah.
You know who you're talking about. Go ahead and do it." And like even him's like all of a sudden the fucking anxiety and the nerves because I haven't had to
memorize fucking
it's like
retarded.
No,
fucking
but like to be on your own now
and free,
is like all of a sudden a scary proposition because you've only known being on the leash for so long.
That super processed.
So now you have to relearn or unlearn or whatever. Anyway, before we move on, it's just like I think I wouldn't be surprised with as weird and petty as the WWE is, and strange as they are, if they like last minute sign Cena on for a few more days or a week or two, and fucking or they could do this tonight. For some reason, because Flair's gone and Charlotte's flexing her muscles, she's untouchable, and CM Punk showed up, that like some little nasty bitterness is there where they're done preserving that 16 time, and they're going to just give Cena the 17. Fuck Flair, fuck him, and now Cena may not be on board with it, but I could see like
isn't that what held off Hunter from getting
probably
more? I think Hunter stopped on purpose because out of respect for Flair.
It's like what's his name that didn't want to take Sweetness's record.
Oh, that's right.
Remember he retired.
Yeah.
I mean he didn't want to play for the fucking Lions anymore either. Yeah. But I could see them doing something spiteful or proposing it. Maybe Cena's like, no, I'm not doing that.
I 100% tell you that Cena's at the stage of his life where they walk with an idea. He goes, "No, we're not doing that." Yeah. And they go, "Okay."
And money's not a decider.
Yeah, yeah.
But I could see them wanting to do it and be like, "Well, listen, why don't you win the belt and then we'll have so and so cash it in on you." Mm-hmm. You know, so you have it for 10 seconds. We could say you're the 17th time and whatever.
And you have to know.
Or we do a few more dates and you lose it like next week.
And there's no way that they can approach him with an idea with that where it's not entirely transparent as to why they're doing it.
Yeah, but that's the funny thing is like every time you think like Cena, you feel like Cena's kind of like, I don't know what the word is, being a little bit of a fucking bratty kid when it comes to his parents with the WWE.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's like the company guy.
Yeah.
Even still.
Hey, listen, we all remember the famous Nexus stuff.
Yeah.
You know, where, hey, if you wanted the storyline to really make money and you really wanted to push it and you were honestly sincere about taking these young guys and making them a big part of stuff and really telling good stuff, they had to win that match, and Cena just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And, of course, in hindsight, he goes, I fucked up, and this could very well be situations where they talk him into it. He's all fired. I mean, listen, man, I could think back to any times people fired me up to do shit, and then after the fact, I go, oh, man, I probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
It's easy. It's very easy to be persuaded sometimes if they get you the right moment. So I would love, because we know that Roman Reigns couldn't retire from wrestling fast enough for me. I find no value in him whatsoever. I never have, and I never will.
I see the value. Yeah, the stuff.
And we'll never agree on that.
The stuff they've been doing in this run, this incarnation with him and Heyman, is the best shit they've ever done. It's great. The head of the table stuff, him kind of being like this godfather of the fucking Samoan.
And I've seen some of it, and I just don't enjoy it.
All right, well, you know.
But
I mean,
but I understand.
What do you want? He's not white enough.
But
for you. I don't know.
Okay.
Listen, he paired with a fucking Jew. This should blend everything out for you.
I'll give you this. I'm totally kidding. This is the best incarnation of Roman Reigns. It is. It is. It's not even debatable. It's the best.
Now,
how you feel about that is up to you.
No, now I'll agree 100%. It still doesn't stand up to. It still doesn't stand up to some of the greats. No. He hasn't. It didn't get him to the next level.
Everyone used to say
just at whatever level he was at. He's just at the top of that level. He's not. He can't. For whatever reason, he's not breaking through.
Everyone used to say that John Cena will never be a legend in the wrestling business because he took over when there was no one left. And I used to agree to that. But then 15 years have gone by, and you look at his work, what he's done, who he worked with, all the things that came, the matches with The Rock and all that stuff. And you're like, no, John Cena is a legitimate legend of the wrestling business because he single-handedly carried them some pretty bad fucking times. Some pretty bad times. But you look where Roman is now, and you want to make the same argument for that, except look where the WWE is,
He's
man.
the last of the guys
awful.
that are superstars. He's the last real superstar.
And
well,
really?
Him
is
and Punk.
Really?
Him and Punk.
Is Roman Reigns really a superstar?
No. I'm saying
Cena. Oh, yeah. Cena, definitely.
Everyone else since is like homogenized brand.
Yeah.
They're the brand now. You know?
You know the difference.
The only sizzles you get is when you bring back the superstars. You brought back Goldberg. You brought back Edge. You brought back Cena, and they are carrying your fucking SummerSlam.
Your entire product.
They are carrying your SummerSlam. That does not bode well for your product, and it's because you've tanked all the stars you were building.
When Seth Rollins,
Roman Reigns coming out of NXT.
When Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman were carrying the WWE all throughout the last year or whatnot, you guys would talk about it, and I couldn't care less. I just couldn't. There was no way that I could give less of a shit.
They could have done that if they had made them stars, which they refused to do.
They refused.
They refused.
How many times? Listen, and this is where my biggest
even McIntyre is the one out of all those that again they had to bring back to lend some weight and credibility.
They almost had it with Jinder, and then I don't know what happened.
Yeah, they fucked up with that.
All right, he brought in fucking Shinsuke Nakamura, and you somehow relegated him to the mid-card jobber bullshit.
He's back to being tremendous.
Oh, is he? Okay, I'll take your word for it.
He comes out with the King of the Ring fucking crown that he basically just stole from Baron Corbin after Baron was wearing it for 2 or 3 years. Apparently they don't do King of the Ring every year. So and then they had a match to settle that. Now it's Shinsuke's. And then you start coming out with this guy, this Boone guy, this Jeff Boog or whatever his fucking name is.
Oh, wait.
Where Natalia he shreds on the fucking
Natalia
guitar.
was watching SmackDown. He's the guy who looks like a gay Rob RVD?
Kind of.
Okay.
I wouldn't say gay, but...
He's like,
You're just saying that anyone else that kind of resembles RVD
he looks like
is
an RVD.
Gonna look gay.
Because
he's wearing a singlet thing.
Yeah. Okay, so
Guy with the beard
that's his name.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And listen, man, listen, brother. It might be a great gimmick. Maybe you're super over. I don't know. I watched like 5 seconds.
Well, he comes in, he shreds the fucking live guitar. He does like his fucking power metal vocals.
The worst thing is in the WWE right now, I can't tell you if you're a good worker or not because they're not real wrestling matches anymore.
Well, like CM Punk said, he left wrestling in 2005, and now he's joining it.
Awesome.
Like going to WWE was leaving wrestling.
It's it's crazy, man, because I've said this forever. I said if AEW, when they first started, they play their cards right. If they really play their cards right, beating the WWE at the current rate that they're going is not going to be difficult. And here we are.
Beating them is such a relative term because what are you beating them at? Television contracts, revenue. No, there's only one measurable. It's fucking ratings. Everything else, WWE is a machine that's been grinding for 50 years.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, of course, you're not going to be raising as much money.
They have nostalgia.
Or have as many licenses out or whatever.
AEW is doing to Vince what WCW almost did.
Yeah, but at that time, they were more level playing fields in terms of where they were both at.
Well, Turner had all the money.
But I'm just saying, like, they weren't this multi-billion-dollar company. It's a bigger Goliath now.
Yeah. Oh, you can defeat you cannot. You're probably not going to defeat WWE. I mean, they're going to be around
in any measurable but TV ratings.
Yeah,
and that's the only one that matters.
Yeah, is AEW not beating them in ratings?
It depends what show. I mean, let's see what let's see what the number was
when Brian comes back.
Let's see what the number was for Punk for a few weeks, and what the number is when Punk and Brian are back, and when Punk and Brian and whoever else, a Bray Wyatt or a Ruby Soho,
Ruby Riott,
or whatever the fuck else.
Listen, I love her to death. I mean, I don't think she changes the needle.
It does
for the women's division. Her and Britt Baker will have some fantastic matches.
It does, amongst other people, but it does in terms of like when someone tunes in to see Punk, they don't go, "Oh, the rest of the show is indie garbage."
You think his wife?
They go, "Oh, the rest of the show's fucking great."
I know his wife makes a lot of money and does great writing scripts and stuff like that. So she probably doesn't have any interest or need to want to get back in a ring.
It might be,
but she'll make a huge impact if she comes back. It might be
a wait and see.
Yeah, she's probably wait and see how things go with him,
or she may have no interest.
Yeah,
women are a different animal.
Ooh,
no, I mean, look,
I'm not throwing you under the bus. I'm sorry.
Look, you got the men, these old timers like a Goldberg in his 50s. You don't see women coming back in their 50s to wrestle.
No, Trish and Mickey James were pretty much,
and they're not in their 50s.
No, they're just like
they're in their 40s, and look how much work those two and what's her name, Tori. I mean, like it's a tremendous amount of work, and you got to, some women just because it is what it is. They go and create a family and have kids, and that's that. Yeah, that's it. Like, I just don't. I think it's a lot harder for a woman to come back.
How do we talk about fucking anything Marvel at this point?
Well, we can, or we could skip it for next week. I mean, we talked for 35 minutes. We could talk about What If, the second one, or people can be like, "Oh, the fucking wrestling." No, let's just close it with the wrestling. We'll talk about What Ifs next week. Yeah. Nobody's like peeing their pants to hear our opinion. I can't wait another week for that. But
that's true.
So then we'll close it with this. Like, it's amazing that because we're this podcast basically about CM Punk, although it's kind of
CM Punk in the state of the business where we're at right now.
Yeah, but this was like amazing timing that you had, and obviously this wasn't all planned out. That the night Punk debuts in their biggest venue ever in hometown of Chicago is the day before SummerSlam and sucked every molecule of oxygen out of their buzz for this fucking pay-per-view. Like, there's SummerSlam tonight, which I guess I'll watch. Obviously the three main matches we talked about with the guys that they've brought back to actually make anyone give a shit. And
of those three, only one has mainstream appeal, and that's the Cena match.
Right. So, I mean, Edge is the only full-timer, quote. The other two, I wouldn't even call part-timers.
A 50-year-old man.
Cena's not even a part-timer. Yeah. He's once every... He's like The Rock, once every 3 or 4 years now, maybe. And Goldberg's once a year, twice a year.
God, I would love to see them give the belt to Cena and have him just hold it till Mania. Oh, it'd be so good.
But he's not available.
No, he's. But you know what? They did the shit with Brock where Brock was barely around, and he was still champion. Yeah. And who cares? It doesn't matter.
But he would defend it every other pay-per-view.
Because at that rate, then you can have Roman, and you can have Roman shift his gimmick and
but it changes Cena entirely from the guy that came in and they were going to offer him 2 or 3 dates. And he's like, no, I want to wrestle the whole fucking month, every house show, et cetera, et cetera. To now being the guy that's not around, he's the champion, but he's not around. He doesn't defend the belt because he's shooting a movie and the insurance won't let him bump.
Yeah, I don't know how that all works out. Yeah,
he could fly. This is how it could work. He would never wrestle. He would just fly in to do a Raw and fly right back out to go back to the set. But he only had a window of a month. They can't give it to him till WrestleMania. It's almost impossible. He'd be cutting promos from his trailer over fucking Zoom.
I feel as if this was 15 years ago, he would totally hold it for 6 months, but it is now. And now it's just it's a payday. It's an opportunity to go scratch an itch and just do good business or the best business he can do.
He He genuinely wanted to
Yeah.
be immersed in the wrestling again.
But
He's
just not at a point where
there's
he can.
no time.
Yeah. Because he's becoming in demand.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's his fault for being so good as Peacemaker.
So I'm just saying that, and then NXT's Sunday, which is weird. It's just weird that the not the NXT, the Takeover pay-per-view after the SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Usually it's before, but
that obviously
that has to be a football thing.
That does nothing for me.
That has to be
absolutely.
Like a stadium.
Which is crazy because that state's requiring vaccinations. They require the card to get in for the fucking Raiders of all people. It'll be interesting to see if SummerSlam is going to be affected by that at all. Probably not.
To be honest, if you want to get real, it's not like you can't fucking gimmick a fucking vaccination.
Oh,
card.
they're coming down on those people. Yeah, it's becoming a big problem, and it's going to be a big problem for a long time. It's a sheet of paper with fucking a bunch of writing on it.
Piece of card.
Yeah,
piece of card stuff.
There's nothing government issued about it.
No. You need like something with a barcode they scan and it's in the system, and your picture comes up and it's you.
Yeah, you just need a good quality printer.
But God forbid they did that. That's now we're being tracked.
Yeah.
So fucking
Now we all have driver's licenses or cell phones
and all that. But whatever. But so like honestly, it's like SummerSlam tonight, and all I'm thinking about is it Wednesday yet?
Yeah.
AEW has done this one thing with CM Punk and without CM Punk. They've made me look forward to seeing wrestling on a certain day at a certain time. Not even like, oh, I'm DVRing it, I'll watch it later. Yeah. Like, I am excited at Wednesdays at 8 o'clock to fucking put on the TV. I haven't felt this way about pro wrestling since the Monday Night Wars.
Yeah.
It's been over 20 fucking years.
I agree.
You can like criticize Tony Khan in a lot of ways, that like he's a little Mark a little bit.
He's the perfect money mark.
But he's not a mark, because he could buy and sell everyone 10 times over, and he's been running football teams and soccer teams where those stars are way bigger than these wrestling people.
He's the perfect money mark because he's an actual businessman.
Right. But he's also like just so brilliantly clever, and I think he's learning. I think some of his booking things, you're like,
Well, he obviously listens to the people that know what the fuck they're talking about. Unlike other people that have come and gone through the business.
But he also understands his fan base. And it's like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have 10 false finishes, and maybe people shouldn't kick out of other people's finishers.
But their fans don't care. They're fine, whatever.
But this fan base has grown up on that.
This fan base doesn't give a shit about professional wrestling the way that I did, or maybe even you did. But it gives the shit in the way that it goes now.
But they still want professional wrestling over sports entertainment
because it's real.
Yeah,
it's authentic. Yeah, it's choreographed, but it's still two guys in the ring calling spots in the ring. It's authentically happening in front of your eyes, as opposed to whatever the fuck they're doing in WWE, where they've rehearsed it so many goddamn times that they're stepping over each other because they're just trying real hard not to forget.
Yeah,
and it just comes off bad. The promos are wooden. They don't make any sense. They don't ebb and flow with the fans.
It's amazing, like, for having a room full of writers, that it feels like almost...
It just gets progressively worse.
3/4 of everything that's produced feels like it just was pulled out of someone's ass
last minute,
right before the show. Where, honestly, a lot of the AEW stuff, there's some trial and error, and they fucking shift as they go. But you're looking at some fucking storylines that they've been simmering for a long time.
Now,
Hangman and Omega has been simmering for 2 fucking years, and it's progressing. But not everything has to be a 2-month fucking program.
I listen a lot to Cornette, and Cornette has a lot to offer.
He's a fucking professional hater.
He is, but he says things every now and then I pick up on. It makes me like, you've got these where he'll just be like, listen, you'll be in Gorilla. A spot's happening. In the middle of the spot, Vince will just change his mind. And it doesn't matter what was written. So a lot of these times we throw our writers under the bus, but he goes, I have good authority. Vince I forgot what the thing was, but mid-match, he just hated it, and he changed it mid-match. So how can the writers are terrible, but how can you even?
But like there's that side of it which I understand, and there's got to be a huge level of frustration. It's kind of like when he's yelling in your ear when you're trying to do commentary.
Yes,
but so I understand why like a Freddie Prinze even who's in love with the business decides to walk after like a year
because you just have such a miserable experience.
You can't.
Because only half your ideas ever see, and it's always usually.
But also, you can't hire writers that aren't even fans of the product or have never seen the product.
Oh, like that one girl who tweeted.
Yeah. You can't fucking do that.
That was.
It doesn't work. Even like when you hire someone outside of the box, like Freddie Prinze, or Patrice O'Neal, who wrote for the product for a little while.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They were fans of the product before they fucking showed up.
And they probably never watched it again after they left.
No, Prince watches it all the time. He talks about it.
I mean, I don't watch wrestling for other personal reasons, but like, if I did watch wrestling, if I had any sort of like real passion left, I wouldn't even watch WWE. I'd be just watching AEW. And not even just because there's people I know on it, but at least it's the closest you're going to get, unless you just like try to hunt down NWA Wildside.
I've been watching WWE since I was fucking like 8 years old, on and off. Granted, like some of the college years and stuff like that, but I'm not. I just watch out of. It's such a habit. It's such a habit. It's like when you've been watching another TV show that like hasn't been good for 6 seasons, but you watch the first 10 and you're just habit. You're just familiar. It's just a familiar place. And so I'm always going to watch. I may not watch religiously the WWE, but it's always going to be something I'm tuning into.
I tried, and then it just got to like when it stops being.
But yes, AEW is like I said,
when
gotta
wrestling
be there Wednesday
stops
night.
being wrestling, when it becomes more entertainment than actual sport, I tune the fuck out. And I know everyone's gonna. Well, the Attitude Era was but I was also 14 fucking years old. Okay. I was also 14 fucking years old, but you also had Austin, Rock, Mick Foley, Undertaker, fucking Triple H, Billy Gunn. I mean, you had a locker room full of the best of the fucking best. Any one of those.
Think about that list you rattled off, and think that maybe we might be talking about the AEW guys that are there now. That mix of them, some of the veterans and some of the WWE retreads, and then some of these new guys. That like in 10 years, there's actually a potential that could be a similar kind of rattling off.
I would love that, Ben.
But but I know for a fact. The WWE and what they've got,
no interest in
that in 10 years you can't say that's the modern day Rock, Austin, whatever. You might be able to. This might be achievable in AEW. We know for a fact it's not possible.
Here's going to be the difference.
Now.
Here's the difference between if you take John Cena, you take Edge, and you take Goldberg out of the equation. Here's the difference between what WWE and AEW have to offer. If AEW, and let's say 10 years from now, if John Cena shows up on AEW just to do a spot, for whatever reason, him and Vince have a falling out, he comes over like Mark Henry at Big Show, that man is going to get a fucking pop because he's John Cena. Edge, he's Edge. Fucking Goldberg probably gets a pop going to the fucking supermarket. He made his name many, many years ago. Here's the difference. If Roman Reigns ever showed up in AEW,
he'd get booed out of the building.
He would be reminded by nobody, and I mean nobody short of McMahon or someone who's fucking directly related to him gives a flying fuck that he exists.
AEW is a rejection. Mm-hmm. Is the manifestation of the rejection of them pushing someone like Roman down your throat
100%
for fucking 5
no
years.
matter what happens, it's fucking 5.
Well, I'm just saying.
Jesus Christ, man, we're getting in a decade of having that motherfucker force-fed down our throats.
Yeah.
The entire time going, early on we were like, or I think early on we were all about it, but once we realized that he plateaued real early and he just never really got higher. I mean, you want to argue that he's at his peak now? Why is he at his peak now, Ben? He's at his peak now because he was standing right next to him.
He's at his peak now, but he still didn't break through to the next level.
Nope.
Is what I meant.
Nope. That man shows
He's the best he's ever been, but he can't get but there's still a governor on him.
If Roman Reigns operated in 1999, he'd have come and gone faster than fucking I don't know, just name a jobber. Just any jobber that came and went, and that would have been who we knew as Roman Reigns. He just wouldn't have ever been anything because in the shadow of the greats, he would have been absolutely nothing. Yeah. They had to all disappear, and he had to be directly related to one of them for him to even have the opportunity. Congratulations. I'm glad. I'm sure he's a super nice guy. I'm sure he's super cool with the fans. I'm sure he's super accessible. I'm sure he does his job really well to the best of his capabilities. He's just terrible at it. He's always been terrible at it. You can force feed me Heyman with him all day long. I don't care. It almost is more insulting. Because with Brock, Heyman was that missing piece with Brock.
Terrible is a overdone word for that. For what's expected of him and what they're portraying him as or trying to get you to buy into. He's not capable.
It's insulting.
Yes, but to say he's terrible at the craft is not.
Is
not fair.
He does his job as he's told to do it. But if you put him a microphone in his hand and go sell me some fucking tickets, no notes. He's not doing it.
No, I agree, but he's still gonna be better than.
Because even Chris Benoit, who talked like a broken speaking spell when he put a microphone in his hand, he would go out there and he'd accidentally have a 5-star match with a goddamn fucking idea of a wrestler. Yeah. So you need to have one of the two, man. And Roman Reigns has nothing. He didn't have a look until they took his that stupid fucking D'Lo Brown fucking chest protector off. And then he's like, oh, he has a body. Okay, you've got one of the three things.
Yeah.
Cool. Guess what? So did Heidenreich. Okay? So did fucking Snitsky. So did all these other big guys that Vince loves so much that came and went throughout the years.
Snitsky probably was better on
They were way more charisma. Listen, Heidenreich, I really thought he raped Michael Cole, all right?
Snitsky's one of those guys that just, they wrote some bad fucking stuff for him, and he got bogged down in that kind of. I feel like he got typecast with the WWE for a certain type of thing, and then they eventually couldn't write him out of that.
So
corner.
Lashley goes over Goldberg because Goldberg's just going in to get the bump on the ratings.
You would think. I can't imagine him winning the belt.
That's insane. Edge and Rollins can go either way because there's nothing on the line.
Well, they're both and they're both on the roster.
Yeah, and no one gets hurt by a loss, really. So
right.
it's grab bag special for them.
I think there's no stipulation on that.
And as far as Cena and Roman, you're going to see the most basic, bare bone main event WWE fucking vanilla match with a Paul Heyman finish that can go either way.
I think.
Are the Usos still? Are they out because of drinking too much and driving?
No, they've been on TV.
Oh, all right. Someone's taking the beer out of their hands.
So, I think
no respect for those two.
I think. Well, yeah. Well, the one's an idiot, but
is it just the one?
I think it's the one.
Okay, just the one. Sorry, the one.
Here's what I think.
My apologies.
I think that it'll be a basic match, but the storytelling within the match will be Paul Heyman-esque.
Oh yeah.
So it'll be a good match because the story they tell.
It's Heyman and Cena figuring out the match, and Roman sitting there just knowing where he fills in.
Right. You stand here.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And he's got 3 moves, so it's pretty easy.
I can't imagine them giving the belt to Cena unless he literally is going to get it cashed in on him.
Between you and me?
Either Sunday or Monday.
If you even want to attempt to grab the attention back from Punk, you have to give the belt to Cena.
Yeah, but they don't.
Even if you do the Money in the Bank, even if you do the Money in the Bank right afterwards, Cena has to win that match.
Cena's not available.
You need the headline to be John Cena returned and won the title. He's beat Ric Flair's record. He's a 7-time champion.
Yeah, but then he's gone. But then he's gone.
But they don't
care.
Nobody
tunes in for that afterwards.
But nobody's tuning in anyway. They just need that headline. They need to beat. Vince needs to win.
That's not beating CM Punk. That's not beating CM Punk because CM Punk will be there the next night and Cena will not.
Remember when Cena came back and he did say that he was back? Well, that would be tested tonight, depending on what happens. That would be really tested.
He's not back.
I don't believe so. I'm with you 100%.
Well, he said in interviews for weeks, this is my window.
Yeah.
I had a very short window. I'm doing it as much as I can right now. And then I've got other obligations.
But if they want any opportunity to have any kind of steam leading past this.
They won't because they're using Cena if the rumors are true.
Oh, for Rocket Mania?
You got to build Roman all the way to the Rock. He can't have a misstep, a stumble, a speed bump, nothing because he's facing the fucking Rock at WrestleMania, allegedly. And if he's doing that, he cannot fucking lose to Cena. He cannot, whether it's legit, like clean win or a bunch of shenanigans, doesn't matter. He just can't lose.
It's crazy.
He cannot lose if the plan is the Rock. He cannot lose.
You gave him Lesnar. You gave him a win over Taker at Mania. You've given him everything, and you still have to give him to make him believable. We're still at that point, almost 10 years later, where it's like, well, he needs to be perfect for this next thing. He can't stumble for this next thing. And it's like,
why'd you bring up Brock?
Well, I'm just saying, like, throughout the years, we have seen them feed Roman all these opportunities. Okay. And it's like, this is the thing. This is the thing that's going to make him. It's always the thing that's going to make him. And here we are, and we're still talking about, hey, man, Cena, he's going to get this big SummerSlam, and that's the thing. And it's kind of like, man, at some point, there's no things.
Well, they'll know real quick. Because it's all they got is Cena and The Rock, and if neither of those are the thing, then then there's no more guesswork out there.
And I say it all the time. There's only one thing left, and that's to give him Austin. And Austin's never wrestling again. So there we are.
Austin ain't fucking interested in working Roman. No. That's for goddamn sure.
They dropped the ball because there was that moment, and Austin and Punk would have been fucking huge.
I'll tell you. Austin's another guy that probably would never dream of
no, his relationship with Vince is way too strong.
But with Punk back and him seeing that response and understanding that he sees the WWE product, goes, the lightning to ride is only at one place.
And you know what? A lot of people that listen,
the lightning in the bottle is not with the WWE.
A lot of people that listen to this might not understand when we keep bringing Austin up as like that other guy at his peak. Austin could just him and Rock would trade off, but there was a point where all Austin had to do was show up. The glass just had to break, and the arena would shake. Mm-hmm. I was at a SmackDown once where he wrestled Jericho in the mid card, and when he came out, the arena legitimately shook when he came out, and it was one of the craziest things I'd ever been involved in, and it was just a mid-card match against, at that time, a mid-card Jericho on a random SmackDown that was just happened to be down here. And it was my only time I got to see him live. And it was just like, it was a great moment for me, but I just remember when we were talking earlier about moments. That moment and that the Hall of Fame moment with Rock were for 20 straight fucking minutes. It was just everyone's opportunity to chant his name that hadn't had it in like 2 years. Austin's it. He's obviously probably never coming back to wrestle.
He's not.
He said it 1,000 times. He's so many different ways above and beyond, and just, again, super busy. He's doing so many things.
There's not enough money for him to.
It would never be with Austin. It would never be a money thing. It would just be I want to, which is what it is with Punk. It's not a money thing with Punk. This is
Punk's younger.
This is Punk's opportunity to rewrite his legacy.
Punk's
that
younger.
Got fucked up in the WWE.
Austin, all he can do is risk ruining his legacy, or tainting it a little bit. Yeah.
We say that, but Sting is damn near 70, and probably one of the best runs he's had.
Yeah, but they're really protecting him. Austin, like coming out for one match at WrestleMania, yada yada yada. Oh. He just knows it's not gonna be what everyone remembers.
No,
and there's no reason for him.
He could never. I remember a month ago, I listened to him. He did a watch over. I mean, he did this several years ago, but I finally watched it, where he did a watch over of his last Mania match with Rock, and how he was in the hospital the night before, and how everything was just kind of like he just went out there and just did the best he could because that's all he could do.
Yeah,
and just by him, the way he says that, he says it in a way where it's just like nostalgia, where it's like, this was it. Like this, my body would never allow me to do this again. And I
forget why he was hospitalized. Was it
I think it was a dehydration issue. Yeah. I think it was a dehydration issue. So, he's never coming back. I know he's never coming back. We only talk about it because Punk was it, other than him.
Yeah, there were three names that you were like, these people are never coming back. It was Shane McMahon, it was CM Punk, and it was Austin. And then
Shane came back and to a point to where I don't even care what he may or may not be doing. I just don't.
Yeah.
Rock makes all his stuff count because he's strategic like that.
Yeah, but that was never. No one's ever saying he's never coming back.
Yeah.
I'm talking about never coming back.
Yeah.
It was Shane. It was CM Punk.
Oh, because of what happened with his dad and everything. Yeah, that's right. I thought, dude, so much time has gone by. I totally forgot.
Yeah. Shane, CM Punk, and Austin.
Yeah.
And like, I always thought, yeah, there's an opportunity for CM Punk to come back now that there's another company that could offer pretty much what WWE could offer. But I there's no way Austin will be at your WrestleMania. He'll host the goddamn thing or referee it, but he's not having a match ever.
No. But to me, to me, when it comes to like a guy like, he's the only example of his kind. When it comes to Roman, Vince has to think to himself like, what else do I got? And it's just like, he's made the phone calls throughout the years, and every time like, no, brother, I'm done.
It's funny. It's like we should have done like a full SummerSlam like rundown, but we just kind of like,
who cares about the rest of the card?
It became because
only 3 matches matter, and of those 3 matches, only one match will end up being a headline on any like news site should one thing occur. If Cena wins because of who John Cena is now in pop culture, it will maybe not eclipse, but it'll be right next to the headline of Punk. Other than that, it's just another WWE show.
See, if I was Vince, I'd have Cena win, and then expressly ask him, like he wore that Peacemaker fucking outfit everywhere.
I'm not aware he's taking it off, Ben.
I need you to wear the belt everywhere like you did that Peacemaker thing.
I'm not aware that Cena,
then it's worth him winning it.
I'm still not aware that John Cena is not going to wrestle as Peacemaker tonight.
He's not. Because he shows up to the WWE stuff in his shirt and jorts.
Natalia's theory was that when they put it on him, it was so tight they could never take it back off. So,
but like I would. Like that makes it like if he does red carpets and things like that
with the
and
belt,
he's wearing the WWE belt. Mm-hmm. Then that makes a lot of sense. And they're gonna ask him about it. He could talk shit, all that crap.
And you take as much because you're not gonna take it all, but you take as much heat off the Punk comeback as you possibly can with what you have to offer. That's it. That's all you got. Because Roman beating Bobby Lashley doesn't mean shit.
Yeah, but
none of this just means
But the
anything.
problem is, even doing that, you have Cena not able to wrestle really much at all.
As we know, yes.
Much at all.
As far as we are aware, this is a one and done for a while.
No, I'm saying like if you left the belt on him until
Mania
until the next time he could wrestle. He's not going to be able to defend the belt. He's only going to be wearing it out in public. Where then you flip the channel and each week it's CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan. It's Daniel Bryan versus Darby Allin.
Bryan Danielson, sir. It's American
whatever.
Dragon.
It's MJF versus CM Punk. It's Jericho versus Sting versus Bryan Danielson. It's like all of a sudden there's this other thing that's happening every week. Every fucking week.
The first thing that 2 things hit my head when Punk was out there that I was waiting for. I'm not waiting for the promo because obviously the promo was just I'm back, man. Let me get these things that I need to say off my chest.
He had every beat except dropping the mic. Even like the sitting down cross-legged,
Yeah.
you know, all that shit.
And then he took that moment to set up September 5th, which just sold every ticket in the building. If there's any other matches on the card, great, but all the tickets have been sold, so we're good. Against the perfect opponent to come back against, because Darby will sell like a motherfucker for this guy, and he's gonna make Punk,
bro.
And by the way, Punk looked good. He looked good.
Yeah. Well, you got to understand, he's in that show heels.
Oh, is he?
So he's probably been doing a little bit of bumping and training and shit.
Oh, I didn't know. I know.
He's been working with Luke and Stephen Amell. He's on the. He's a character on the show.
I know Stevie's on the show because he posts on his thing all the time.
No, Punk's on it.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. So he's been. It's not like he hasn't done anything bump wise.
Have you seen the show?
No, I'm gonna wait till all the episodes are out, then like buy it and just watch them in a row.
Where's it on?
It's like Stars. I don't get it, so I would have to buy it.
I want to see it, but I don't want to see it.
Dude, the Rotten Tomatoes scores are like in the 90s.
Oh, it has nothing to do. I know it's going to be a quality show.
Oh, you don't want.
I just think it's going to make me really angry.
Angry or make you want to wrestle again.
Oh, we're past that with the baby, brother. I think.
Speaking of wrestling, AJ has a date.
You said that on the phone call before we started
November
the podcast.
7th for Billy.
Where?
Wherever Dave has his show. They know the date. They don't have a venue, or they don't. Whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm hearing this third-hand information, but we have a date, so
we'll see.
Yeah,
I will be there. I'm not doing shit.
Yeah. Well, maybe Billy could talk you into refereeing it.
No, no. Remember, we talked about that, Ben, and then we realized what was involved in that, the close proximity to Billy Fives.
Right, but way too cllose to his closed fists and kicks.
Basically any of his appendages can strike me at any given moment, and we're just not going to do that. We talked about walking AJ to the ring as a breakfast club. We're like, no, we're too close to the ring.
Yeah. No, we got to be on the other side of the fucking barricade.
No, I'm going to be on the top floor in the back with a little sign. You know, I was like, go AJ, with my wife and child.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to be the fucking belle of the ball, bringing your kid. Oh, you're going to be the new Jordan Rayner, bringing the kids to the fucking show. You baber strolling around, expecting the locker room to watch the kid while you wander off the fucking chit chat and hit on, stare at Jessica's tits and hit on her.
What?
That dude hit on Jessica like 5 times.
Oh, I wasn't aware.
At shows and stuff. Yeah, while his wife's like refereeing in a match and whatever else, and the kid's in a stroller, shitting his pants and waiting for one of the other boys to clean them. Come on,
good times.
Yeah.
All right, man. So SummerSlam tonight. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see if maybe.
What I was gonna say is someone like Punk probably is like, I never thought I'd get to fucking work with Sting.
I was thinking this. Okay, so get back to it. I was thinking this. I was thinking I had 3 things in my head. He did the promo with Darby, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what if Darby is the beginning to get Punk and Sting to work one-on-one? Because Sting, I mean, come on, man. He's got a limited amount of time he can be in a fucking wrestling ring. You've got to maximize it. I know they're doing the gimmick with him and the Flair's a whole nother story. That man has dedicated his life to dying in that ring, and that's fine. You do whatever you can go out.
He looks great.
You can do whatever you want. You're Ric Flair. You can literally do whatever you want.
He looks great. You do that, dude. Yeah. That's going to be a hell of a tag. If
2,
you have Flair Andrade versus Sting and Darby.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. You have so much you can do with him and Jericho. My God.
Yeah.
But I was thinking like CM Punk and MJF would have one of the best lead-ups to a big match. Mm-hmm. And that's what, in my opinion, what will truly make MJF.
Oh, he's
because he like Jericho is one of the best promo guys. And I don't think that's a discussion. But Punk's better. And that's what Punk is, his bread and butter, is what he does on a microphone. And MJF, I believe, is on that level. I don't watch enough, obviously, but from what I have seen, I'm like, I've always been like,
for his age, you're like, man, in 5 years.
Exactly. And I think Punk's the guy that gets him to that next stage, that gets him to that truly that Rock level.
Yeah.
You know? And I, dude.
Well, I mean,
if this is
don't discount Brian in all this, because he's a hell of a work and he's a hell of a promo too.
Here's the difference between Bryan Danielson and CM Punk. Bryan Danielson has so many more miles on that body.
No, I understand, but for these moments and these like experiences and for sharpening your young tools.
But Danielson's a guy, not a promo guy until he got there. He was not known as a promo guy. His promos were fucking awful. His promos were...
Well, he figured it out.
He was the Benoit of promos, and then he'd get in the ring with Samoa Joe, and you'd forget he couldn't talk.
But he figured it out.
He figured it out.
Just like Punk, I think once it became more shoot and emotional with him.
Well, those are always the best promos, buddy. Those are always my best promos.
I think Brian figured it out by tapping into that.
Yeah. If you want to make a promo truly successful, make it mean something to you.
When they were doing the B+ stuff and the Yes movement and all that.
Because it was as close to home as it could possibly be without them just coming out and saying it. When he stopped the robber and Hunter's like, an A+ guy would have stopped him. It's one of the best moments. And I'll always remember it because I shared it on Facebook, so every year I get a call back to it, and I'm like, I love that moment. Yeah. All right, man. Well, SummerSlam. So we'll see. We'll see if there's anything out there, and if they, I'm going to try to come over and watch. It's going to be difficult, but I might try to sneak by at least for the main event.
It's already 5, so I'm not expecting you to. I assume it starts at 7. I don't even know. This is like I said. It's like. Luckily, I'm taping the Dolphin game and only want to watch the first quarter, anyways, because it's
I had this whole argument with Will where he was talking about the first game. Like, Will, after the first 2 series, I could give a fuck about the first preseason game, and in the first 2 series doesn't even matter because
I
so
stopped watching
not
once 2 is out.
Yeah, that's it. It's preseason. All you're doing is making cuts. All you do, you're deciding cuts for 3 quarters.
Yeah, it's who not to keep.
Now, at the give me that last preseason game. I'll pay attention.
Yeah, because they play more.
Yeah. Because he hasn't even had his full receiving core because they all have been out and hurt or what the fuck ever. So whatever. All right, that's getting off the beaten track. We talk wrestling too much to jump into something else.
Yeah, we can't get in. You don't talk real sports on nerd stuff. That's a.
And to that one guy who always wants to talk wrestling, congratulations. You got the full bill today, buddy.
Yeah. All right, pal.
Let's get out of here, brother.
I'm out.
Okay, bye.